Bola wanted more money, more fame, more Lagos life. She left her village, her mother, and the sacred beasts of her ancestors behind. But some things can't stay buried forever. When life breaks her down, the past returns, but with a price. Stay with us. Let's find out the price Bola had to pay for her redemption. This is the haunting tale of Eye, the beats of sweet flights. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, please subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Join me as we journey through this powerful tale, rich with lessons that will stay with you long after the story ends, and also the kind that touches the heart and changes the way you see life. Long before the world knew her as Bola, the slave queen of Lagos, she was Bola Joko, the child who met wealth while still sitting. She was born in Olofin, a village wrapped in hills and mix, where the wind carried stories and the trees remembered names long after the people had gone. Olofin was small but sacred. It was the kind of place where people still greeted the earth before stepping out in the morning, where the moon was respected like an elder, and where names were not just called, they were remembered. In this place, the women passed on their wisdom not through books, but through beads. The Eye, the beads of sweet flights, were not just ornaments, they were living history. Worn by the women of Bola's bloodline for 5 generations, the beads were believed to contain the prayers, tears, and triumphs of their foremothers. They were made of rare coral, glass, and stone, dyed in natural colors, each bead carrying a symbol: a sun for strength, a bird for freedom, a moon for grace. No one wore them lightly. They were kept in carved wooden boxes, wrapped in white cloths, and only brought out for rites of passage, births, weddings, and the naming of first daughter. To give away Aye Odun was to sell a soul. To wear them was to carry your lineage on your neck. Bola's mother, Aduni, was the most gifted bead weaver in all of Olofin. Her hands were firm but kind, her voice like palm wine, sweet with a sharp edge. She taught local girls how to bead, not just with their fingers, but with their hearts. She would say, if your spirit is in turmoil, the beads will not lie straight. Calm your soul before you create. Aduni raised Bola alone. Bola's father had died when she was only 3. Some said it was a fever, others whispered it was heartbreak from too many failed dreams in the city. Bola didn't remember him, only that her mother would sometimes pause mid-threading, stare out the window, and blink back tears she thought Bola couldn't see. Despite the hardship, Aduni made joy out of very little. She told stories at night, Yoruba folktales about tortoises, clever girls, stubborn spirits. She taught Bola to greet elders, to fear no one but the gods, and to braid hair so neatly that not even the wind could undo it. Most importantly, she taught Bola to bead. At 6, Bola strung her first pattern. At 8, she was selling simple arclets at the village market. At 10, she had memorized the meaning of every bead in their family box. She was bright, ambitious, beautiful, and restless. Even as a child, Bola looked beyond Olofin. While her mother was content with making a name in the village, Bola's eye followed the road that led to the city. She would sit on the fence of the compound, watching the dust rise behind the weekly lorry that brought news from the outside world. Once, she saw a girl her age step out of a car, wearing sunglasses and gold sandals. That will be me, Bola whispered to herself. Aduni saw the hunger in her daughter's eyes and grew afraid. You can go far, Bola, she once said, but remember whose name you carry. Not every shine is gold. Some is just dust catching light. But Bola was already dreaming in another language. Instagram followers, slay queen beauty tips, influencer life, city parties. Beats and earth didn't matter when your eyes were on skyscrapers. At 16, she left. Her mother had begged her to stay, or at least to take her time. Bola refused. She wanted fast success. She said the beats were old women's things, that Lagos was calling, that tradition couldn't pay bills. But when Aduni took off the Eye Adon, her hands trembling, and placed the beads into Bola's hands, she said, "Take them. If the city is where you must go, then let your mothers walk with you." Bola looked at the necklace, then at her reflection in a shade of mirror. The beads didn't match her wig. They didn't sparkle like fake diamonds. She tucked them away, not out of honor, but out of guilt. It would be the last time she saw her mother alive. Lagos, a city that didn't sleep. The city where dreams walked in hills and ambition shouted over traffic. When Bola first arrived, it felt like freedom. The air smelled like opportunity, sweaty, loud and intoxicating. She stayed with a cousin in Ikotun, sharing a mattress and a mosquito net held with specs. By day, she sold earrings on the roadside. By night, she scrolled through Instagram, practicing her poses, perfecting her captions. Soon, she began to post. Just landed in Lagos. Big moves only. Hustle hard, play harder. The followers came slowly. Then the likes. Then the DMs. And then the men. His name was Tony, or at least that's what he told her. He drove a black Range Rover with tinted windows, said he worked in oil and gas, though he never explained further. He noticed her at a lounge in Lekki, bought her and her friends a round of drinks, and said he liked her smile. Bola laughed at his jokes. He said he had Lagos potentials. He gave her money for new hair, makeup, and rents, helped her move into a small apartment, and posted her once with just her hands showing. "You are too fine to be struggling," he said. She believed him. But Tony belonged to many girls, but Bola didn't know yet. Bola's circle changed quickly. Girls with loud laughs, long nails, and secrets hidden behind filters. They borrowed from each other like sisters, but with eyes that scanned for weakness. "You have to package yourself," one told her. "Nobody helps a broke girl. You have to look expensive before they treat you like you are one." They taught her the rules. Always wear designers, even if it's fake. Never post your real problems online. Smile, even when you are starving. And never fall in love, only fall in line. Bola smiled. She posed. She played along. But inside, something was starting to bend. With each passing month, the bills grew bigger. Tony began to travel more often. He stopped answering calls. New girls showed up in his car. Rent was due. Her account was dry. She hadn't spoken to her uncle in over a year. And her mother, well, her mother had stopped calling too. One night, hungry and alone, Bola opened the wooden box she had brought from Olofin. There they were, the Adun, still glowing, even in darkness, still whole, still waiting. She touched the beads gently, as if afraid they would shatter. Memories washed over her, her mother's laugh, her first bead bracelets, the story of her great-grandmother who once saved the village with a vision during a festival. The beads were more than decoration. They were prayer, protection, identity. But all Bola saw was desperation. She didn't plan to do it, not at first. She took them to a high-end African art store in Victoria Island, just to check. The woman behind the counter widened her eyes the moment she saw them. She didn't touch the beads, just looked, like she was staring at royalty. "Where did you get these?" "They are family beads, very old," Bola replied. The woman nodded slowly. "I'll give you 450,000 for them cash. Bola's heart told her that was more than rent, more than 3 months of comfort. It was enough to bounce back, to take control of her brand again. She hesitated. For a moment, she thought of her mother, of the vow she made to protect these beads. But Lagos was not a place that waited for your conscience. It was a place that rewarded survival. She took the money. That night, she ate the best meal she had had in weeks. Fried rice, grilled turkey, soft drinks, and suya. She ordered it all to her flat. She danced to music, turned on fairy lights, and went live on Instagram saying, "Ladies, sometimes you have to let go of the old to step into the new. Big Bola energy only." Her followers sent hers. But when she turned off her phone and lay in bed, the silence came. Deep, loud, heavy. She reached out for the beads instinctively and remembered they were gone. She couldn't sleep. For the next few weeks, she tried to distract herself. New outfits, small gigs, even a feature in a skit, but nothing settled. Her sleep was restless. Her dreams were strange. Women in white wrappers, standing at the edge of the rivers, silent but staring. Then the phone call came, the call that broke her. It was her uncle. Her mother had collapsed during prayer. No warnings, no email, just silence, then a final breath. They had waited to tell Bola because they didn't know if she'd come. She booked the cheapest bus home, not for money, not for tradition, but because somewhere in her, she knew. The road to Olofin had not changed. Red earth, palm trees like tired centuries, the occasional goat crossing the path like it owned the road. Bola sat in the bus, pressed against the window, hiding behind dark glasses and a scarf. Her nails were still polished. Her phone buzzed with Instagram notifications. But inside her chest, shame throbbed like a fresh wound. She hadn't been home in almost 3 years. When the bus stopped near the village square, Bola stepped down. Her heels sagged into the soil. A little boy ran past her, then paused, stared and recognized. "Auntie Bola, is it true your mommy is dead?" She said nothing, just walked, her heels in hand, her legs trembling. The compound was filled with silence. No drums, no crying, just silence. Her uncle, Baba Tayo, met her at the entrance. He looked older than she remembered. His eyes held 1,000 questions, but his mouth spoke only one sentence. "You came late. She's already buried." Bola's knee buckled. She sat on the floor, dust rising around her. She had missed her mother's burial, missed the final goodbye, missed the chance to explain. The family's elder nodded slowly, politely, but no one embraced her. One man whispered she only came for inheritance, but there was nothing left to inherit. Her mother's small workshop was shut. The house, once filled with beads, stories, and song, was now cold. Bola sat in the corner that night, wrapped in her scarf, and cried silently. Not for the life she had in Lagos, not for the money she had made and lost, but for the beads, the ones she had sold, the ones her mother had trusted her to protect, the ones now lost to strangers who didn't know the meaning. The next morning, she woke before dawn. A voice, or something like it, had whispered her name in her dream. She couldn't explain it, but her feet led her out of the compound, past the empty workshop, beyond the mango trees, down to the river where her mother once fetched water. It was there, at the edge of the stream, that she saw her, the old woman, wrapped in deep red clothes, face shadowed by the morning mist. She sat on a stone like she had always been there, waiting. "You have returned, child," the woman said, though her lips barely moved. Bola froze. She looked around. No one else was near. The village was still asleep. Who are you? Bola whispered. I am the reminder, the woman said. The keeper of what your hands lost, and I've come to give you a chance. The woman lifted a gourd from beside her. Slowly, she opened it and pulled out a small wrapped pouch. Bola's breath caught in her throat. Even without opening it, she knew the air had done. Her family's beads, whole, untouched, glowing faintly like fireflies in cloth. Bola dropped to her knees. Where? How? There are things the spirit holds onto, even when mortals throw them away, the woman replied. These beads called for you, and I listened. Bola stretched her hands forward. Please, give them back. I didn't understand. I was young. I was desperate. They can be yours again, the woman interrupted, but you must pay the price. Bola hesitated. How much? The woman shook her head. Not in money, in silence. Silence. A vow. 1 full year. You will speak no words. You will stay in this village. You will work, serve, rebuild. You will listen more than you talk. You will repair what your voice once destroyed. Bola stared, confused. Why silence? Because it was with words you chose pride, and it will be with silence that you learn humility. The woman stood. After 1 year, return to this river. If your spirit has been purified, the beads will return to you. If not, they will vanish forever. Bola trembled. Her voice cracked. But I will lose everything. My brand, my followers, my life. Child, the woman said, her eyes now glowing faintly. You already have. The river gurgled softly behind her. The trees stood still. Bola looked at her reflection in the water. No makeup, no filters, just a girl. A broken girl with old dust on her feet and ancient blood in her bones. She nodded. I accept. The woman smiled and in an instant vanished into mist. Bola walked back to the village slowly. She would not speak again for 1 full year. The villagers would laugh, mock her, call her mad, say she was cursed or pretending. But she didn't care, because now she wasn't working for followers. She was working for her mother, for her foremothers, for the girl she used to be, and for the beads, her true inheritance. For most people, silence is an inconvenience, but for Bola, it became a sentence. The first days were the hardest, not because of hunger or heat, but because silence stripped her of her most prized weapon, her voice. She could no longer explain herself, couldn't defend, couldn't deflect. She couldn't even say, I've changed. She just had to leave it. The villagers whispered when she passed. Some said the city had driven her mad. Others called it spiritual punishments. Children pointed and giggled. That Lagos auntie has lost her voice, so serves her rights, one mentioned. One afternoon, someone even spat near her feet as she swept the market square. But Bola didn't react, because the old woman had warned her. You must listen more than you defend. Learn the rhythm of silence. It is the language of the gods. So Bola lowered her eyes, gritted her teeth, and kept sweeping. She worked odd jobs to eat, sweeping the community square, fetching water for elders, washing market stalls at dawn. Things she had once mocked now became her daily bread. At night, her body ached, but her hands felt honest. No lies, no captions, just blisters that earned her yam and okra soup. She kept a small slate around her neck, tied with rope. On it, she wrote things like, I can help, thank you, I'm sorry. And over time, something strange happened. The people stopped mocking. Some began offering her food. Others gave her beads, cracked, broken ones, to help her to start again. One old woman pressed cowries into her palm and said, Your mother was good. She raised you well. Maybe she's guiding you still. 6 months into her vow, Bola returned to her mother's abandoned bead workshop. Cobwebs, dust, silence. She swept, cleaned, rearranged. She reopened her mother's wooden chest of tools, threading needles, color pots, dried seeds. And then she sat down. For the first time in a year, she picked up a string and began to weave. The first bracelet was clumsy, but the second was better. By the third, her fingers remembered what her soul had forgotten. Beads are like stories. Each one carries pain and beauty. Threading them together is a form of healing. So she healed, one bracelet at a time. Word began to spread. Bola was making beads again. One by one, village girls came to her. Not many, just a few. Curious, hopeful. She couldn't teach them with words, but her hands did the talking. She showed them how to tie knots without tension, how to choose colors that told stories, how to wear beads with pride, not shame. They called her Auntie Bola, but this time without mockery. This time, the name came with respect. On the 11th month of her vow, Bola had a dream. She was standing in a vast field, wearing white. Her mother stood before her, younger, vibrant, smiling. Her eyes sparkled, but her mouth said nothing. Instead, she lifted Bola's hands and placed beads into them, red, gold, and deep blue. Then she whispered, not with sound, but with soul, You are ready. When Bola awoke, her pillow was wet with tears, but her heart was light, the kind of light that only comes when you have dropped pride at the altar of growth. On the final night of her vow, the village women gathered around her. They had seen her sweat, seen her serve, and even though she had said nothing for a year, she had spoken volumes. One of the elders, Mama Remi, brought her a wrapper and said, Your mother would be proud. You came back with dust on your feet and shame in your eyes. But you stayed, you walked, you grew. Now go and collect what is yours. That night, Bola sat quietly, wrapping her hair. Tomorrow, she would return to the river. 1 year after taking her vow of silence, Bola returns to the sacred river as dawn. She walked barefoot, carrying the weight of her quiet transformation. No longer the proud girl who once traded legacy for luxury, but a woman shaped by humility, service, and rediscovered purpose. At the riverbank, the mysterious old woman reappears. Emerging from the mist, she presents Bola with the family heirloom, the ear-adorned beads, glowing with ancestral energy. But before Bola can receive them, the woman asks a simple question. Are you ready to carry this again? Bola, overcame with emotions, nods. Breaking her year-long silence, she whispered her first words. Thank you, Mama. The beads are returned to her, not just as ornaments, but as symbols of forgiveness, growth, and reconnection with her roots. Back in the village, Bola reopens her mother's beads workshop. Young girls gather to learn. and the once lost legacy of the beasts is reborn. In the end, Bola doesn't just recover what she lost, she becomes its guardian.